Welcome to Certification Practicum in IT Fall 2020. Hi, my name is Connie Pascal, and I'm going to be your instructor for the course. I've been in the ITI program as a PTL for the past 10 years or so. I'm also a graduate student here at Sky, and I'm about to defend my dissertation. That's very exciting. I'm also a member of the teaching team for the I-Core Rutgers project, and I'm currently coordinating the experiential programs for the ITI department. So that means this course, the internship class, and independent studies on occasion. So I have a background in HR and technology, IT and recruitment and technical services, as well as software development, primarily not from the coding side, but from the product development and strategy side, as well as market research, and lifelong entrepreneur and innovator, and also in education and training. So our agenda for today, if this is the in-person class on September 4th, is as follows. If you're watching the video version of class 1, then mostly we're just going to do this overview of what to expect and how to get you off to a good start. Of course, I would remind everyone that is either attending the class or watching the video that I do have office hours, and I'm usually only an email away. So how does certification practicum work? So it's a little bit different than anything you've ever done before, because this is a semi-self-directed course where you are going to buy a license for a certification that you want to pursue from a company called TestOut. And this license is going to give you access to what's called the LabSim learning environment. And you're going to use that LabSim learning environment. That's where you're actually going to do your work. And then you're going to take the TestOut certification exam as your final exam for this course. So that's in a nutshell how the class works. So let me walk through a little thing. So what is TestOut? Well, TestOut is a Utah-based company that provides, again, this is their website. They provide the LabSim learning environment, and this is, again, an example of what that looks like. About the LabSim learning environment, well, again, each LabSim unit contains all these different learning things. There's labs, meaning that you actually go in and you simulate how to do something. So if you're taking PC Pro, a lab would be, for example, to go in and install a motherboard into a laptop. If you're taking Security Pro, a lab would be to go in and set up a security network for a small office. There are videos, by the way. Most people watch the videos at double speed, and people do complain that they can be a little bit slow. Some people love them. There are lessons, there are handouts, there's worksheets, there's practice tests, and most importantly, they actually also have certification exam practice tests. So lots of different content for you. And again, you can take the test or you can work with the content for as long as you like and for as many times as you want, and you also have this license for 18 months. So again, here's the TestOut website in case you need to look at that. And again, just a quick little view of what the LabSim looks like, and just again to call your attention to the fact that there's some good information here. So like what browsers are supported by which particular certification, and again, kind of what the TestOut certification test prepares you for in the real world. So again, I would remind you that a LabSim license from TestOut is required for this course. You do have to buy it, and it has to be in your own name. It costs $129, and I mentioned it's good for 18 months, and it must be in your name. Again, if you're looking for information, the TestOut purposes, you are taking IT skills exams and are considered an IT pro using the TestOut Pro product line. So that's just a couple little hints to help you navigate the TestOut website. So let's talk a little bit more about what the course of certification practicum is. Again, so it's not an overview course of all the certification options. Again, you're going to be picking one certification to work on. It's not a true independent study. As I mentioned before, it's a semi-self-directed, and I'll explain that in a moment. You're working on a curriculum. You do have weekly assignments and a final project, but you direct yourself through the certification content. It is now completely asynchronous due to COVID. In normal times or in past times, we would have met on this first day of class in person, and we would meet on the last day of class for the final exam. But that's not the case. We're going to be doing all those things virtually this semester. And it is not an easy A or even an easy B. This is a very challenging course. The material that you're going to be studying is not educational level or watered down for students. It's the professional level stuff. It's the same thing, same courses that professionals all over the country also take. So depending on your level of expertise and what you bring to the table, this can be a very challenging course, but also a very meaningful course. Most people that take this class consider it one of the best experiences of their ITI curriculum and career. So a few FAQs. So is a test out certification equivalent to industry standard certifications? And what will a test out certification do for me? And will employers see test out certifications as valuable? Well, a test out certification is equivalent, but not the same as a certification from Microsoft. So it's the same material, but it's not the same way of approaching it, and it's not the same test. A test out certification gives you confidence, skills, and prepares you for the industry standard test from Cisco, CSI, SSP, Microsoft CompTIA, etc. So that's one of the main values, especially for the Security Pro and the routing and switching people. This particular certification practicum and the test out certification will really help get you prepped for Security Plus or your CCNAs. And will employers see test out certifications as valuable? Yes, they do see them as valuable. Again, they don't carry the same brand or same recognition of accomplishment per se as getting your CCNA or your CompTIA or A plus certifications, but they do absolutely have value, and you absolutely should add this certification and credential to your resume. Be sure not to represent it, however, as the industry standard test. So again, just to kind of take a look at how the certifications that you are offered in this class compare in industry. Here's, again, I'm not going to dwell on this. This is also available to you on the Test Out website. But again, this is kind of the comparisons. So for example, Routing and Switching Pro is comparable to all the CCNA courses between 200 and 301, for example. So take a look at that if that's of interest to you. So these are the following certifications that you can choose from for this course: Client Pro, Linux Pro, Network Pro, PC Pro, Routing and Switching Pro, Security Pro, and then 3 versions of Microsoft Server Pro, Identity Install and Networking. So again, those are the only courses that you can pick, the only certifications that you can choose for this course. Some of you will see when you get to Test Out and take a look that there's a course called Ethical Hacking, and I know that sounds really, really interesting, but it is not offered for credit at this moment in time. So if you want to take security, you need to go Security Pro. So just a few tips about all the various classes. So Client Pro is all about setting up technology on desktops and laptops. It's frankly not very interesting, but it can be a good class if you don't have any other experience at all. Linux Pro, if you're a Linux person, you're going to love Linux Pro. It's challenging, it's difficult, you have to memorize a lot, but people who like Linux really appreciate this course. So PC Pro, if you're looking at that one, that covers again the internals of the PC, of the laptop, and talks a little bit about printers and peripherals and setting up your own little network. So again, it's a good course for people who don't have much experience or who really just want to get your feet wet. And everyone should have a decent understanding about how computer hardware works. So it's a good class. Network Pro has 13 units. It's quite challenging. It's one of the most technical. You need to have networking experience before you go into that one. If you're doing the networking course, this is a nice adjunct. By the way, if you're doing hardware basics, the PC Pro certification course is a nice companion class to take for that as well. Security Pro. So again, very popular course. This is where we usually have the most students, and it delves into social engineering and threat assessment. It's not quite as technical. It is not technical. In other words, you do have to have some technical skills and understanding about networks and databases and how systems work, but not a lot. And again, it does cover more than just technology, because cybersecurity is really also about social engineering. Switching and routing again has 16 units and is by far and away the most technical. You either choose switching or routing. You don't have to take both of those classes. Systems people, you either are or are not a systems person, and you would know it if you are. And if you are a systems person, then the Microsoft Server courses might be of interest to you. Each semester, by the way, about 25% of the course of the class fails the certification practicum course, and that's primarily because they don't get started quickly enough, and the amount of work becomes overwhelming, and they just can't get caught up. So do take this very seriously. And again, each semester, about 10% of the class actually will score in the top 10% of the country in their particular certification. So there's a wide range of experiences that you can have in this. And again, it all depends on your attitude and how well you're able to integrate this course into your life. Although, given life is changed and our daily routines are a little different, that has also changed the trajectory of this course as well, and may change your experience as well too. So I'm pretty sure no one has bought their lab sim license, so we'll just work through here. So this is how you buy your lab sim license. You first go to test out resources, student purchase. You enter this price code. You select the certification that you want. You follow the shopping cart instructions and you pay for your license or your order. And make sure you use your Rutgers email address. So rutgers.edu. You can't register without that. And then when prompted, what you do is you put in the Rutgers New Brunswick. You may or may not see my name, and you associate yourself with our class and by that and our school, and what that allows me to do then is I'm able to see your progress and keep track of you in LabSim. Don't worry if you don't see my name or you don't associate yourself with me. I should be able to manually add you to the class on my end of the application. So again, here's how you activate it. Once you buy it, you'll receive an activation code containing a 16-digit code that you use. You have that code, you take it to test out, you click on sign in, you follow the instructions, you activate it, and you launch your journey. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about the actual course. So that was just about getting you into lab test out and LabSim. So the actual course, of course, looks like this. Here's the normal Canvas site. There are graded assignments. There are actually 5 graded assignments. There's your weekly LabSim units, and we're going to go through this in a moment. Weekly journal entries, career portfolio, your certification test, and then a participation grade. So here's your first assignment. So LabSim activities. Each week you're going to complete as much or as little of the LabSim exercises that you choose. So that's the tricky part about this class is you decide how much of LabSim you want to do. You don't have to use LabSim for your learning environment. You have to purchase LabSim because you have to take the LabSim final exam or the test out final exam. But in theory, you can use outside technical resources. YouTube, for example, has lots of great videos. There's other courses you can take. But again, you decide how much or how little of LabSim that you use. I will tell you, however, the more LabSim you use, the faster, easier, and better the course goes for you. So you're going to preview how many units. So what you want to do is once you have your LabSim license bought, you want to go in and you want to take a look at it. You want to preview how many units your certification has and figure out how many units you have to complete to be done with your LabSim by December 4th. LabSim activities are not graded. I do not grade any of this stuff, but I do, however, review your progress and will offer comments. So, and this is what I can see about your progress. So I can see all these different things. I can see your progress report by how much of a percentage of the course that you've completed. I can see which products you've used and how many you used. That means like how much time did you spend watching videos and how much time did you spend doing labs. I can see your exam scores if you did any practice exams. I can also see individual scores by product. In other words, you know, how did you do on these different things? And then I can also see even individual individual lessons and what you did, etc. So I do have a pretty good insight into what you're looking at and how you're going about doing your lab sim work. Again, I will let you know that at the end of the day, it is your decision. So I will, however, um, be uh, be responding to your progress. So, and the way we do that is through a weekly journal entry. So there are 13 journal entries, and they're due every Friday for 13 weeks. And I will say this again: do not blow off the journal entries. Every semester, I have students who decide that these aren't important, and I'm not going to do them, and they end up failing the course because they didn't do something that's very, very simple. So they're more important than you think because they're 39% of your grade. So again, they're due Fridays at actually 11:59, and your goal for your reflection or your journal entry is to reflect on your week's worth of work, and your goal is to have gotten through a unit, one full unit of your lab sim. So again, because you're all taking different courses in lab sim, this doesn't entirely match up week to week to unit. So for example, like I said, networking has more units than we have weeks in the semester. So you have to look ahead in your course and plan accordingly because some units are quite long and you might need to plan extra time for that week in order to keep with this unit by unit basis. But again, this is all part of the time management aspect of this course. And again, one of the most important aspects of certification practicum is that it's teaching you how to self-learn. And self-learning is a key skill for an IT pro and something that you're going to continue to have to do the rest of your career. So this is a great warm-up and a great way for you to, and a great safe environment for you to, again, get to know yourself a little bit better around time management and around how you like to learn and how you, again, can pursue self-learning because there are tricks and you can get better at it if you're not good at it immediately. So again, so journal entries are due Fridays, every Friday for 13 weeks, starting on September 11th and going through December 4th at 11:59. However, listen carefully. You have 72 hours to get that journal entry in for full credit. So they're due. Put it in your head. Journal entries are due on Friday. That means I should be done with my unit on Friday, but you have until Monday at midnight to get the journal entry in. So even if you're not done with your test out unit, you should go ahead and post your reflection. Okay. So I do respond to your journal entries. I respond personally to each of your journal entries, and I put my comments in your grade comment. These are not, I don't usually post things publicly because sometimes we get into some very personal and private issues. So we keep all of that private between you and I, but it's a really nice way for us to develop a relationship. So my comments again, some weeks I will have more to say than others. Sometimes people's progress is pretty normal and pretty standard. And there's just so many different ways I can say, keep up the good work, you're doing great. So sometimes that's all I say. So if you want more, I'm always happy, however, to schedule any kind of office hours or have any kind of meeting that or have any kind of conversation with you that you'd like to have. And then the content, these are the things I'll talk about. I'm talking about your progress and test out. Yes, I can see your progress as I just showed you. Give you tips on maybe how to study. I'll answer to any questions you might pose. I'll give you some advice. And I might gently kick you in the behind if I think that you're slacking off or you're not taking this seriously. So those are some of the things you can look for each week. Your third assignment is called Career Portfolio, and this is due at the end of the semester on December 10th. So this is basically an idea here around this is to create an artifact for you that will be helpful for you when you're in conversation with hiring managers and recruiters about your experience and about your career plans. So these are some of the elements. So we want you to develop this in something called ePortfolio on Canvas. ePortfolio is, again, basically a web page building tool that's incorporated right into Canvas. If you want to use a different product to build this, I'm okay with that. Just ask me before you do it. And again, your career profile website will include a compilation of all your journal entries. So again, This is an idea of the idea that upon reflection is how we best learn and how we become aware of ourselves and our ability to step outside of ourselves and see what our learning journey is can be helpful. Again, an infographic on your career goal or your career path. I want to see a copy of your resume. I want you to think about your honors and accomplishments, and these don't necessarily have to be IT related. They should be IT related, but I want you to keep this in your mind. A self-learning statement. So this is again part of, I mentioned this whole class is how do you self-learn? So this is a substantial learning task that you have in front of you to get certified at a professional level in an IT skill. So I want you to, again, become self-aware of how you learn, how best you learn, because that will help you not only now, but in the future. I also want you to develop outside technical resources because, again, this is Lab Cinema is just one learning environment. We don't all learn the same way, and I want you to look at a diverse and rich landscape or ecosystem of learning resources for whatever you're interested in. And then I also want you to collect at least 3 references. Again, this is you don't have to ask people to write you a reference. I just want you to have asked 3 people if they would be your reference. So again, the whole purpose of the career portfolio is to help you encapsulate and help you on your way to successful interviewing and for getting that job and for using your certification to help you get that career step. Okay. The fourth assignment is the participation grade, and that's just really easy. You get 1 percentage point at the end of the semester if you get all your journal entries in by Friday at 11:59 p.m. And again, that's just a little incentive to put it in your head that you need to be moving through the journal and the course on a weekly basis. And the last assignment, assignment 5, is the final, and that is going to be your test out certification exam. So this is the, again, the certification exam that everyone takes at the end of their test out or their lab sim environment. And here's how it works here. So if you pass the test out certification exam, you get 35 points, regardless of how many points or how big or how massive your score was. If you got 100% of the questions right, you got 35 points. If you got the bare minimum, you just passed, you still get 35 points. If you don't pass the certification exam, then you get a percentage of that grade based on 35 points, and that's the number of points that you get. So you can indeed fail the certification exam and still pass this course as long as you don't fail the certification exam by too much and you've done all the rest of the work. So hopefully that will make sense, and I'll be happy to take questions on that. All right, so here's the grading scale, which is our normal Rutgers grading scale. Grading policies. So deadlines are noted in the syllabus and on the schedule. All work should be submitted through Canvas. There are no email submissions, and journal entries are submitted again after 72 hours of the due date will be scored a 0, and journal entries cannot be made up unless you have an excused absence. So let me say that one more time. So journal entries, again, they're due on Fridays, but you have until Monday at midnight to get them in for full credit. After Monday night at midnight, they get a 0, and those journal entries cannot be made up unless you have an excused absence. And then the last thing, grade appeals, I need them within 1 week after grades. So let's get you off to a good start. So getting LabSim up and running on your computer can be tricky for some. So, and it has to do with configuration and make sure, again, you're using the browser that it likes and all that sort of thing. But if you do have trouble getting your LabSim to run, I can't help you. You have to contact the help desk at Test Out, and they're very good, they're very responsive, and they'll be happy to help you. Second thing, again, I can't help you with LabSim performance or technical issues. So please contact Test Out Support. As I said before, they are very responsive and very helpful. And give yourself a lot of time these first few weeks for this class. This is not the kind of course that you can just fit into a busy schedule. You're going to need to carve out time. Although, again, since everything is online, I'm not quite sure how that's going to impact students for the entire semester. But again, if experience if experience from the past is relevant to right now, make sure, again, keep trying, keep doing various different ways and different time management strategies so that you can figure out how to get this class worked into your life, because that's how students are successful, and that's how this becomes a really great lifelong learning experience and not just a pursuit of a certification. So let's move on to your first assignment, which is not due until Friday, September 11th at 11:59 p.m. So we've got plenty of time, but by then you need to have done the following. You need to have purchased your certification course from TestOut, and you need to have completed units 0 and 1 in your chosen TestOut course, and you need to have posted your reflective journal entry to the Canvas forum. And remember, 0 credit will be given for any journal entries posted 72 hours after the due date. That's it. So, any questions? If this is the online class, we're going to move to some breakout sessions. If this is the video class, then I'm very much looking forward to meeting you virtually this semester. And if you do have any questions, please contact me through email at connie.pascal@rutgers.edu. I'm looking forward to a wonderful semester, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks very much.